Hello and welcome to another Decrepit Gaming Old World video. Today I'm going to be painting a giant for my Orc and Goblin army. As you can see, it's the old Marauder giant. However, I wasn't entirely happy that he was big enough compared to more modern models, so I've put him on a big rock, just raising him up just so he looks more imposing. Any dragons or anything that he has to square up against, he now looks like he can take them on. As you can see, I have primed him white and I'm now giving him my usual null oil wash. As some viewers have rightly stated, this can be quite wasteful. I don't really mind wasting this wash, so to speak, because it's given me free shading, and when I dry brush over it with white, it's a step I don't have to worry about at the end of the painting session. I don't need to come back in with washes to shade afterwards. So I'm happy to use the null oil. As you can see, once the null oil has completely dried, and I've probably left this model overnight, I'm going to hit it with a dry brush, giving it a heavy dry brush, trying to bring most of that white back on the surfaces. The reason I do that is because I'm going to be using speed paints and contrast paints to paint this miniature, and they like going over a white base coat. Of course, anyone who's watched any of my videos will already know all this stuff, but I'm showing it again here anyway. The first colour that I'm going to apply is going to be Peachy Flesh. It's an Army Painter Speed Paints 2.0 paint. And I'm going to apply it straight onto all the skin and flesh areas of the giant. Unlike me here, if I were you, I would use the paint sparingly. As you can see, I'm quite liberal with my use of the speed paint. And that has one downside. It stains the raised areas of the flesh and the skin tone much more than I would want it to. So I would recommend that you use the paint sparingly, the speed paint sparingly when you're painting a large area of model. Even sticking to a small area until you've pushed the paint around in such a way that you're happy. And that way you'll avoid any excess staining. I'm now on the Broadsword Silver and I'm going to use it to paint all the areas of metalwork on the giant. He has some bits of armour that he's nicked off some dead bodies, no doubt. Maybe people that he's eaten. So this left hand has a lot of chainmail around it, as well as some like ring and some bangles on the left arm and right arm. I'm going to use Nuclear Sunrise to paint the hair and the beard and the big monobrow that he's sporting. This is just a quick way of painting a ginger type hair colour. You could pick another colour if you wanted, but I just chose this colour. I'm now going to start on the tunic, and I'm going to use Satchel Brown, although I'm going to mix it 50-50 with Speed Paint Medium. And that is to thin it down, water it down, make it less dark brown. It'll make it slightly more translucent, and that's the look I'm going for. As you'll see here, I paint half the tunic with this colour, leaving the other half of the tunic for another colour. I'm now going to use Maize Yellow, which is an Army Painter Speed Paint 2.0, and I'm going to paint the other half of the tunic. The problem with this colour, and any yellow in general, is it's very, very translucent and thin, and even going over the top of white, it's going to take 2 or 3 or maybe 4 coats of paint. Just make sure you allow one coat to dry before you paint over it with the next coat. And that's just to give it a solid yellow colour rather than the translucent you can see through this now. And it doesn't look great. so it will get better with more coats of paint. I'm now on to Magic Blue, and I'm going to use it to paint half the shield on his left arm. I'm also going to paint every other furl on his shoulder. These are kind of like little epaulets, or as I said, furls on the shoulders of his jacket. So half the shield is getting painted here, as you can see. The other half of the shield will remain white. Now I'm moving away from Army Painter paints and going to Citadel contrasts, and this is going to be Snakebite Leather, and as you may have guessed, I'm going to paint all the leather work with this Snakebite Leather. It's a really nice colour and it paints really well. So all the strapping on the sandals are going to get a coating of this. The belt around his waist is going to get a coating of this. The little tassels on his jacket are going to get a coating of this, and also the pouches around his waist and around the rope hanging from his shoulder are going to get painted with this colour. Sticking with Citadel colours, I'm going to move to Aggaros Dunes, and I'm going to use it to paint the rope around the barrel and around the jacket or the giant's shoulder with this colour. It's quite a nice colour for rope. You could use a speed paint quite easily to replace this colour with, but because I have it, I'm going to use it. Switching back to speed paints, and I'm on to Pallid Bone. And I'm going to use this colour to paint the bandage around the giant's leg and also the one around his foot. Very simple job, very quick to do. Just slop it on, leave it to dry, job's done. I'm now going to use Slaughter Red, and I'm going to use it to paint the alternate furls on his shoulders. You'll see here exactly where I paint. Just be reasonably careful with this. Because it's speed paint, it flows really easily. Just put a little on your brush. Have a decent brush with a decent point on it, and take your time, and it's not a hard job to do. I'm also going to paint one of the bottles on his back with this colour. I'm now onto the wood of the barrel and the wood of the big tree that he's holding in his hand as a club. I'm going to use Ruddy Fir. It's a paint that I like to use to paint to give a wood effect. It's not too dark and it's not too light. I quite like it. So you'll see what you think anyway. You can always choose a different colour if you wish. The barrel also has some areas of metal banding around them that I used Broadsword Silver for. I'm not sure I filmed that area or that step, but I did use Broadsword Silver for those bands around the barrel. You'll also see I used Aggaros Dunes on the ends of the tree to simulate the internal parts of the tree being lighter shade than the external bark. I'm now on to Moody Mauve, and I'm going to use it to paint one of the bottles on his back. This is just to add variety and a different colour to the giant. You won't even see this unless you're looking at him from behind. And I'm also going to use Ghoul Green to paint the other bottle. And again, this is just to add some variety to the miniature. Very simple thing to do. Just go through your paints and pick a couple of paints that you have. And it doesn't really matter what colour you paint these. Now I'm onto the base. And I've used Occultist Cloak mixed with water, pretty much 50-50, and I've coated this big rock with that colour. I've then went in once that's dry and dry brushed it with a lighter grey. I've used Foundation Grey here, Astronomicon Grey. Use whatever light grey you've got, and if you don't have a grey, make one up. Couple of blobs of white paint with one blob of black, and you'll have a light grey. I've then went in with some PVA and brown paint and painted the base and coated it in sand and left it to dry. Then edged the base with the brown that I choose for edging. Choose whatever colour you've edged the rest of your bases in and keep them all uniform, would be my advice. And I'm going to show you here exactly how I mix up a little bit of PVA and an old jam jar lid, and then one blob of brown paint, all it takes. Give it a good mix up. And then I'm going to paint it on to certain areas of the base and of the big rock that I deem to have different colour. I want different colour on them. So just random areas here you'll see I'm painting on. And the idea is to add flock. I'm going to add flock to the rock. You'll see here that I've got some flock that I've had for many years. It's not a particularly nice green, shade of green, but it's fine for the purpose I'm using it for. It's to simulate moss and some weeds and things like that growing on the rock. Once that's been applied to the rock, I'll come in with the static grass, and it goes on around the areas of the base that I want to have grass and a grass effect. I use 2 mil static grass. You can use taller grass or shorter grass if you want, but I find the 2 mil stuff works quite well with 28 mil scale figures. And then I'm going to come in with some tufts. Again, I use the pre-made army painter tufts, and whatever tufts you can get a hold of. There's a whole lot of companies now making them, and they're not expensive. You can make your own, but this saves that step. So just really a blob of PVA and then stick a tuft on it, and once it's dry, the job's done. It's a very simple job to do. You can really go to town on your base if you wish. You can add more scenic stuff to it. You could even just have it on a flat base if you wanted, but I just wanted to add some height to the model. Because it's a very old model, I wanted to add some height to it to bring it up to today's sort of standards in scale. And that's it. Job done. And I'm happy with this giant. As you can see, the yellow is still kind of not great. It will probably get another coat before I'm happy with it. But other than that, I'm happy with the model. It's ready for battle. I'm hoping he has a bit more luck in his next game than I did in his first battle, where he died in the first turn. But it wasn't really his fault. It was an elf lord on a dragon with ogre blade. Killed him in one round of combat. But that happens, unfortunately, when you're fighting high elves with dragons and ogre blades. So anyway, hopefully this video has been of some use to you. If it has, please click the subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.